You're listening to an AINC original podcast. We believe you don't have to do life without a compass. Let us be your guide on this amazing journey. Welcome to Navigating Life with Vision Loss.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for Navigating Life with Vision Loss, formerly called Topic of the Month from Audio Information Network of Colorado. I'm Kim Wardlow, your host. I'm the executive director here. And starting in April, we've changed the title, as I just said, of the program to Navigating Life with Vision Loss. We feel like that's really what this program is setting out to do, to help all of you navigate through various aspects of life with vision loss. So our April topic is housing. And so we're going to start off today with Mark and Holly Mais, and they will be joining us. They are both realtors and will be talking to us about purchasing and selling homes. So we will be right back with them.
This is Navigating Life with Vision Loss. If you have a question, please visit us at aincolorado.org/podcast-guest. Make sure to subscribe to all of our podcasts so you don't miss a single episode. And now, here's your host, Kim Wardlow.
Hello, we're back, and I have Mark and Holly Mais with me. Thank you so much for joining me today for our podcast.
Good to be here, Kim. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Kim.
So, to start off with, could you tell folks a little bit about yourself, maybe how you got started in real estate, or any other fun facts that you might want to share?
I'll start. I started in real estate. Mark was in the corporate America job, and our daughter had moved home. This will be hysterical, with 5 dogs, and we had 3. And we went to see our friends that were realtors, and I said, she's not going to be able to rent anything. We need help getting her out of our house with her 5 dogs. and the husband said, I can help you with that. And the wife got there and said, what are you guys doing here? And they were having a happy hour. And I explained to her that they were going to help our daughter. And she said, no, we're not, because you're going to do this. And 3 weeks later, I was in real estate school. And 2 years later, she moved out with her dogs.
Oh, my goodness. So when you walked into the happy hour, you had no idea you were about to become a realtor.
I did not. My friends had talked to me about it before, and but they told me, don't go home, buy Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, start reading it tonight, which is like telling me to go do that. And as soon as I was reading the book, because it's really a business plan for real estate and how to do it, I immediately knew eventually Mark would do this with me. And I quit reading about 1 a.m. and I started writing a business plan, which I emailed to Mark about 5. And about the time he got up, I went to bed. And a year later, he was doing real estate with me. And that was 8 years ago.
So my journey, Kim, to answer your question as well, is that I was, as you know, because I'm on the board of Audio Information Network of Colorado, and I was in the copier business for really close to 40 years. And I went into real estate part-time in 2016, and then full-time in 2019. I got downsized in the copier business and decided not to go back. So it's a great business and a great opportunity to help people if you really approach it with a servant's heart. And I believe that both of us do that.
Yes.
So we've been doing it ever since, and our company's name is Eagles Nest Home Group, and we are the brokers inside of that business with Keller Williams and the Denver Tech Center.
Well, thank you for giving us some background of how you guys got into real estate, the real estate business. I had no idea that it was kind of an unplanned A planned career change.
Definitely not.
Well, at least for Holly, maybe not for Mark.
Well, I planned it for Mark, whether he planned it or not.
He planned it or not.
Whether I planned it or not.
But I knew he had the right personality skill set. I mean, his background in business, his background in people, and how much he cares about people in general. I knew that this would be a really good opportunity for him, you know, in the long run. So it's been a good, I think a good business for both of us, because we both we both care about people and taking care of people.
And that kind of tags into, Kim, our relationship with Ain, in that you and I are friends and go back to our days when we used to attend one of the networking events downtown together that's dedicated to seniors. And we chatted a couple of times and kind of saw a meeting of the minds around joining the board and volunteering. Holly and I have both volunteered to record for Ain as well. And obviously now I'm the president of the board and serve on a couple of committees, the location committee and certainly the executive committee with the board. And I really enjoy it because one of the things that has happened is my knowledge and sensitivity to blind and visually impaired folks is dramatically higher. And even though we're both senior real estate specialists, which is SRES is a designation, we do work with handicap, but not necessarily just visually impaired. So because of that, we've become quite sensitized, both of us, to the needs of visually impaired and blind people.
Yeah, anyone that is kind of differently abled.
So, and maybe this is a place to start our conversation. I know we have lots to talk about in terms of if you're selling or buying, but you know, whichever one you're doing, you need a realtor, or at least I think that's very helpful. I know some people don't, but it seems like that there's lots of reasons too. So why should someone find a realtor to work with? And then what should a person look for in a realtor when they're, you know, trying to decide which realtor to use?
It's a great question, Kim. And obviously we're realtors, so we're a little vested in that, but I believe that you should start with a realtor early. And I'll give you a specific example about how we can help, not just to sell your house within the 90 days before you sell it, but even going back 2 or 3 years to strategize and discuss what's the best way to prepare your house for sale. So here's an example, a recent example of a friend of mine from my days at Regal Center Media. We had an opportunity to meet with her and her husband, and they were saying, you know, we want to move close to the water. We want to move we're going to move out of Colorado, but not yet. We may be a few years or a couple of years away. But their questions really were around, do we prepare the home for sale or do we sell it as is? So one of the things that we have access to is a lot of resources, whether it's somebody does HVAC work or somebody that's a plumber or electrician. But also we have access to folks that can help you with what color should I paint my home? How should I update my bath? How should I update my kitchen? What flooring should I put in? Those are all good opportunities to update and upgrade your home. And we have an interior designer. She's our stager who can come out and help you frame that up. What does it really look like? Does that make sense? So that's one of the steps I think that's important. And that's not 90 days before you have you put the house on the market. It's strategizing with you about what's the right thing to do. And many of us that are older, and Holly and I are both in our 60s, have opportunities to potentially downsize the home. We've got a multi-story home. We want to move to a ranch. We want more accessibility. We want something that's ADA compliant with bigger doors, maybe a wheelchair ramp, something like that, or the opportunity to put that in when the need arises. So I think engaging a realtor, honestly, very early. I think the fear that a lot of people have, and I hope folks would, when they hear us speak, would want to engage with us. The fear that a lot of people have is that we're going to try to sell you something. The reality is it's establishing a relationship that you can trust, that we have your best interests at heart, and trying to establish that relationship early so that we can help you move through all the steps.
And I think the other thing is you can interview agents, because I think you want to find someone who's a good fit for you, personality wise, has a good experience. Your cousin's best friend's boyfriend that just got his license 20 minutes ago, and you want to help him out, or you sit down and talk, then you may find out, well, he's got a good system behind him. He's with the brokerage that they'll give him the support he needs to do that. On the other hand, maybe he's not, maybe it's not, and you need someone that is more experienced, to help you. And, we want to work with people that we like and enjoy. And I think as a client, you want to do the same thing. And sometimes it's just not a good fit. So you don't want to, you want to sit down and have a conversation and kind of build rapport and see if personality wise you think you can work together well, because nobody wants to be miserable through this process. It's not an easy process.
And the other thing I would say too, Kim, is that we have been doing a lot of business with folks, and we'll do business with anyone, but especially folks that are 50 plus, because we can relate to the stage of life that they're going through. If they have elderly parents that may be needing some help in the home or need assisted living, we've got providers that can help with that as well. So you kind of find your niche, shall we say, and that's certainly one that we play in a lot.
I think it would be important just, for our listeners that as folks either selling or buying a house, engaging with a realtor, like Holly said, you might want to interview more than one,
Yep.
But to really have some upfront, honest conversations about accessibility.
Mm-hmm.
And This is what I need. I need documents to be accessible, and, having that conversation so that the realtor you choose understands that, and you feel comfortable that they're going to be able to work with you and provide you what you need.
And to address your question about, should you use a realtor? If you show up to an open house and you use the realtor, start talking to the realtor that's doing that open house, most of the time that realtor is the listing agent for that house, and they represent the seller, and they're not going to have your best interest at heart. And when it comes to negotiating and getting through the whole system, the whole process of buying or selling, you want somebody in your corner. I mean, the whole contract is 19 pages long of legalese. And you want somebody that's going to be able to explain it to you, help you, that kind of thing, and has a deep knowledge of it. So trying to negotiate through that on your own is not an easy thing. And this is your largest asset, whether you're buying or selling or doing both.
I was also going to add to Holly's comment, Kim, in that I think it's important as a visually impaired or blind person that if you need our support to read the contract, go through it line by line in an audio format, we can absolutely do that. We can do that in person. We can do that on the telephone, whatever works best for the client, because it's really all about the client, in my opinion. And if we approach it with a servant's heart, we're always going to do the right thing for the customer.
So I know you said that you're senior real estate specialist. So that's kind of your niche area. And I know you've worked with both with folks that are the ones that are selling their house and they are downsizing. Sometimes you're connected through that person's child who's trying to help them through that process and trying to find services for them. So do you want to talk about a little bit about that space and helping somebody downsize, maybe finding a place they can age in place?
Maybe we can just launch into, Kim, if you're okay with it, the process to sell a house. Does that make sense?
Okay.
And we can kind of talk through. We'll probably tag team this as we usually do. one of the things that's important, as I stated earlier, please start early. Do yourself a favor. Engage a trusted resource early. Typically, one of the things that we try to do is establish some touch points around data. So you want to look at, what does the market look like? Because it changes constantly. And to me, that's one of the real benefits of having a realtor is we're in that data every single day. We have to know the market. And we present it at what I'll call a macro level and a micro level. And the macro level could be as big as how many new homes have gone on the market in the Denver area, meaning all of Denver Metro, as opposed to the homes that have been sold in that area, and comparing the two. Is inventory getting higher? Is it getting less? And then we can take that down to a city level, whether it's Thornton or Boulder or Lakewood or Highlands Ranch, and you can look at the data there as well, and even down to the zip code level. So it kind of gives our clients a picture of what it looks like out there, and it literally changes all the time. And realtors have access to data, and it's not just social media. So, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, and I want to step into where you're talking about services, because what people need in those instances, sometimes, first off, they may need to engage a mover. Depending on where they're going, are they moving to a smaller house? Are they moving to assisted living? What does this look like? And you need to find the appropriate, if they're looking for a smaller house, we got to look for the right house that fits their needs. We also need to find someone that'll do the moving. We'll need to find someone that maybe will clean out. Maybe they need to have an estate sale or, a pre-estate sale, a downsizing sale. And maybe not everything sells and there's stuff left over and the kids don't want it or whatever. We have vendors that take care of that we bring in our vendors. And you have to do that a lot of times, and not just, towards the end of life. Sometimes you want to do that. You're like, I just accumulated too much stuff here.
Exactly. Well, and I know I've reached out to the realtor that we had used, even just in the last couple years. We weren't buying or selling, but we needed a plumber, we needed a roofer, we needed to know who was reliable. And so we still reached out to him and in his life, just because we knew they were in tune, with that.
One of the things we have recently moved, Kim, to the Keller Williams office in the Denver Tech Center, and it is the largest real estate office in the state. And one of the real benefits to that office is we have an incredible list of vendors. So we have our own that we use, kind of our number ones and number twos, but we don't have everyone. And somebody might come up with some we don't have yet. So it's a great resource to be able to tap into all of those other vetted vendor profiles to be able to say, hey, here's another plumber, or here's somebody that specializes in a particular job, or a masonry guy or whatever.
Or it may be just area of town,
Yep.
Somebody is in a different area of town and you need somebody that'll tile your bathroom or, put in new carpeting or, something like that. We have vendors for all of that. And our house, I'm thrilled to have somebody reach out and ask me that question, because I can serve them and I can also serve our vendors that I know do a good job.
Yep.
So I can, it allows me to be hands-on with people. And we tend to stay in touch with our people so that we know, what's going on, and they can ask us questions, and hopefully they know to reach out to us, just like you did with your realtor, to call and say, hey, I need a plumber, or I need whatever, because you may not know somebody.
I was going to dive a little deeper, Kim, as we're kind of talking about selling the house and the process. As we get into, let's call it a little closer to the home going on the market, one of the things we do is we have a process to get ready to sell. And the first step usually is the stager. Now, maybe we had a stager come in very early to work with you to share some paint colors, how are you going to update your kitchen or your bathroom, that stuff. But now we're to the point that we want to bring buyers into the home. And we have a stager come in and we'll give a consultation. We pay for that, where they'll work with a homeowner to potentially declutter. You really don't want pictures of your family up on the wall, because you want the buyer coming into your home to feel like they could live there as opposed to you living there. So the stager will come in and go room by room and do a lot of decluttering, working either with your furniture and your stuff, your pieces, or potentially for a little more money, bringing their own stuff. And they do that so we can prepare for what's really a big event, and that's the photography. And the photography we do, depending on the size of the home, we do still pics done by a professional photography company that we use all the time called Virtuance. We do a little YouTube video, which is a nice little 1-minute snippet that we can send to potential clients. We do a virtual tour. For bigger homes, more extensive areas, we'll do drone photography as well. And then we usually have an open house the opening weekend that the home goes on the market. And we do a lot of marketing around that via the internet, via door knocking, 100 homes in the neighborhood, which we physically do that around the home. We do some reverse prospecting inside of MLS. It goes to 350 MLS search engines out there. I mean, it's a very comprehensive process that we put together, because that's our client's biggest asset. We want to put best foot forward and get them the offer that they need. And then we're available throughout the weekend for negotiation, calls with buyer's agents. We talk to our client consistently. Literally that weekend we talk multiple times a day, because we're communicating changes, number of showings, number of offers that have come in, that kind of thing. And so that is really kind of the close to the listing date, shall we say. And then we become part of what's called the negotiation phase. And in the negotiation phase, if we've got offers, we're negotiating between the buyer's agent, our client, the seller, and then obviously the buyer on the other side. There's two agents that interface with each other. And in this case, we're on the seller side. And then hopefully we can come to agreement on an offer. And then we begin the as I'll call it, the contract to close process. And maybe I'll let Holly speak to that piece when we go from contract to close.
Okay. Yeah.
Inspection.
So you think the biggest part of negotiation is getting under contract, but the next piece of the pie is inspection. And if you haven't bought or sold a home in, the last 10 or 15 years, they've added a new thing that is called inspection, where you bring in an inspection company to look at the house and make sure that there's not major things wrong with it. And that's another opportunity to negotiate, whether you're a buyer or a seller, and you want to protect. We protect our clients either way. If they're the buyer, we're going to help them through the process with the inspection and recommend an inspection company. And with the seller, we're going to talk them through what they find and what's realistic and what's not. And then in this market, we've had issues with appraisal. People have been paying, offering considerably over list price. Well, is it going to appraise or not? Mark runs the data king here, runs the data and really digs in deep. And we look to make sure where we're at, because that's another opportunity, to negotiate. So it really is a process, and it takes, about 30 days from under contract to close.
I was going to add just a couple of comments, Kim, on the appraisal. We run this on the buyer when we're representing the buyer as well as the seller. We run what's called comps. You probably hear that word thrown out a lot when you're talking about real estate, but it's an opportunity to evaluate the home that you're either buying or selling against comparative properties in the neighborhood, whether they're actively on the market, whether they're coming soon in the market, whether they're pending, which means they're under contract, or whether they've been closed in the last 90 days. And we look at square footage, we look at the price that the house sold at, and we try to match number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, and square feet to make sure we give you an accurate statement about how much that home is worth.
And condition of the home.
Condition makes a big deal. And when I talked about at the beginning, starting the process early, we can sell an as-is home. probably won't bring the top dollar that a cream puff will. And that's really up to the homeowner how much money they want to spend if they do to update the house or not.
And you don't get dollar for dollar.
You don't.
Out of that. So just because you put $50,000 in doesn't mean you're going to get an additional $50,000 out of the house. So that's a decision to make. What are you looking for? Do you want to do some updates because you want to live in it and enjoy it for a while and you want to make sure that it's saleable updates? Or are you looking to just do what you need to do to maybe get a better price when you put it on the market? So those are conversations to have ahead of time.
All right. Well, and what about the flip side? If you're looking to buy, the flip side of that, and we may have some folks listening that are looking to be first-time home buyers and have not gone through the process. But as Holly said, even if you haven't done it for a while, things change.
Yeah. And Mark and I we've run the gamut. We've done a lot of first-time home buyers. I mean, we have adult children. So we have helped our adult children. We have helped their friends. We have friends, kids, so we've worked with all, ages from people in their 20s all the way up to people in their 80s. So, and I actually love working with first-time home buyers because I feel like I'm setting them up to build their wealth because they're not paying somebody else's mortgage. They're paying their own. So they're paying themselves.
Right.
And so it is to start off with, that's another thing. You want to get with a realtor early. You want to connect. Not every lender is the same. Pulling somebody off the internet may not be, pulling just these companies that advertise, getting to close may not be the easiest thing with one of those. So it's better to talk to find a good realtor, let them introduce you to a lender or two and work with a lender that has been vetted that a realtor knows can get you to close because it's a process and they're a huge part of it. They're our big partner in the process of doing it. So you get pre-approved for your mortgage. By the way, if somebody has credit issues, we have vendors that can help with that too. And I mean, sometimes we start with buyers, sometimes 2 years before they're buying. And we'll work on credit issues. We'll work on whatever they need, to get themselves set up in a good spot, so that when they go to buy, they have their credit is decent and they've got the funds to move forward.
And I was going to add a couple of things to Holly's comments about the buy side. One of the things that we set up, Kim, is a search, and the search is really important, and that's really around the preparation. We usually will sign an agreement with the prospective buyer that allows us to legally represent the buyer, and then we'll set up the search. And the search is usually saying, I'm looking in this geographic area. I'm looking for a ranch-style home. It's okay to have a basement or not, up to you. How many bedrooms, how many baths does it need to have? Are there any specific things you need when you set up the search? We can set it up for ADA compliancy, where it would have, a bigger entry into the bedroom, as an example. It might have a walk-in shower. It might have less steps. It would be a ranch-style home or a patio home. And we can set up that search and literally modify it every day. You would get in your email, the client would get a daily or weekly or twice a week, whatever works for you, update on the homes available that absolutely hit that target market. So you're not wasting your time looking for things that don't. It's important, as Holly stated, to get a mortgage person involved so we can get a price point, because the mortgage person will give us a number, and we have mortgage lenders, as she said, that we need to target as well for the search. So there's the pre-approval with the mortgage. There's the signing a contract with a realtor, the agreement with the realtor, contract to buy, or a listing agreement to buy, and then the search. And those are the early pieces. The rest of it is more similar because you do go through the offer phase. When you find a home you like, you go out and look at some homes. You look at 10 homes. You select one. This is the one we want. Once you select that home, we will create an offer and, again, run the comps. to make sure that the offer we produce for you meets your requirements, but also meets the requirements of the seller. And we're both very good at, and a good realtor will be good at, establishing a good relationship with that other agent and being able to work together for win-win. Because if you're oppositional in your behavior with the other agent and the other side, it's less likely they're going to want to work with you, and it's less likely that your client's going to get the home that they want. So we're really good at trying to establish that trust and credibility with the other agent.
And we work for the win-win throughout the process of getting under contract and all the way to close, because it's not helpful for you don't want to feel like somebody wins and somebody loses. It should be a negotiation that leads to a good outcome for both parties. We're not out to crush somebody.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I know there's some similarities as you get closer to closing. Both sides have lots of paperwork involved and things like that. But,
no doubt.
But they are, a little bit different if you're preparing a house to sell, or if you're making your list of, well, these are the must-have things. People with kids might have specific school districts they're looking at, or
those are important.
People may have geographic preferences, those kinds of things, and obviously budget.
Yes,
is always important for everybody. But
and you don't want to go looking at houses you can't afford.
Yep.
So that's why it's important to get pre-approved, because then you just get disappointed when you start looking in your price range. Nothing is going to measure up to what you were, what you were seeing if you start too high. And the other thing, we can get very specific in our searches. We can look in a specific school district. We can look. My niece, for example, there was a particular market that she wanted to be close to. There was an Asian market. She grew up military, and so she lived in parts of Asia growing up. And so there's an Asian market, and she said, I want to be within a 15-minute drive of this market. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Kind of different, huh?
That's very
and I found her place.
Kind of different.
So, yeah. So we have had different requests. I think that was the most unusual. And, it's fun. It's like, okay, give me a challenge. Let's see how we meet it. Yeah, and it was fun. So that's the kind of thing that we do. We do really need to. It's a process of asking a lot of questions to get down to our clients' needs, because it's about what they want and what they need.
I was going to mention, Kim, as well. We do have you mentioned paperwork, and there is a lot in a real estate transaction, but we have a transaction coordinator that works with us on every single transaction we do, buy side and sell side, as well as investment property. And she tracks all of those due dates to make sure we don't miss them, because it can be honestly catastrophic if you miss it. So we're tracking it, the client's tracking it, and our transaction coordinator's tracking the minutia as well.
And literally, if a client needs us to read through, read to them every single page of everything we send them, we can do that.
Yep.
That is a doable thing. And it's not, we tend to go through things with our clients. A sighted client, we might not have to read the whole thing, but we still go through it and explain it.
Sure.
So, reading it, if we need to read it, that's just another step. That's that's just part of part of meeting the needs of our client.
Yep.
Well, thank you for sharing all of this information and just giving folks an idea of that process, whether they're first-time buyers, whether they've been in a home for 30 years and they'd like to downsize, and maybe they're looking for a smaller home, maybe they're looking to move into, a community, a senior community, but whatever that is, just to know that find a good realtor and they can help you with all those steps.
Yeah. Absolutely. I highly encourage you, whether it's us or somebody else, do yourself a favor. Could call a couple of realtors and get some help.
And the other thing, we are happy if somebody is looking to move out of the city, out of the state, whatever, we are happy to vet a realtor somewhere else for them. Go find it.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, we can do referrals to other places, and we could go through and call and make sure we find somebody that's willing to meet, and we could find a couple for them to interview.
And even, Kim, folks moving from Boston to here or Atlanta to here, trying to be closer to family, and that's a very common need with folks. So Keller Williams has a database of 180,000 agents worldwide, that not the majority, but a lot in the U.S. And so we can usually find somebody that has a good heart, good servant's heart, good cultural fit, that kind of thing.
Great. Well, again, thank you. This is really valuable information for everyone. And hopefully for all of you listening, this will help you wherever you are in thinking about the steps you need to go through, and whether you're buying or selling a home, and just some extra tips, especially if you're selling, to maybe make a little bit better impression, or be able to get a little bit higher price on your home. So thank you.
Well, thank you
all of you for listening to the podcast. We hope you'll join us again next week. We'll continue all this month on the theme of housing and various aspects of that. I also want to let you know that our fundraiser for the Audio Information Network of Colorado is coming up on May 4th, and we are super excited. It is Concert in the Dark. We will have local talent, a duo, Heart and Soul, playing, and after they will open, and after that, we are having the Grammy Award-winning Diane Shore performing for us, and we're partnering with Rocky Mountain PBS. It will be in their Masterpiece Studio downtown in Denver. So you can go to our website for tickets, and we're calling it Concert in the Dark. It happens that all of the performers are blind themselves, and we're going to allow people the option to wear sleep shades to really experience it as a blind person would experience sound, and not a visual performance, but truly concentrating on the sound of the performance that evening. We'll also have blind and visually impaired artists that will be showing their work prior to the performance and during the intermission, as well as hors d'oeuvres. There are ticket options for regular seating and also meet and greet tickets. So you can find those on our website, www.aincolorado.org, and under events. And you can find the Concert in the Dark page to be able to purchase your tickets. And also feel free to contact us with any questions that you have. I always want to promote our other podcasts. Their site is always a popular podcast talking about other visually impaired individuals and what they're doing in life after vision loss. Blind Sight, focusing on mental health. And now we also have Blind Level Tech, which is talking about assistive technologies. So look out for all of those wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks for joining us.